Hello there, welcome to my views and news. I did a video yesterday about Fano, how Fano can defend from drone strikes. I promised I would do a video about Ethiopian National Defense Force to how can ENDF weaken Fano, because we are covering this conflict in Amhara neutrally. We're not taking any sides. We are not part of the conflict. We're not part of the part of supporting any party. So let's analyze neutrally how can the military weaken Fano groups. Does military stand any chance of striking decisive blows to Fano groups? I think if you talk about military operations by Ethiopian National Defense Force, military is and it must be fully aware of Fano's strengths and weaknesses. That is how you plan your operation, because you are well aware of the other side's strengths and weaknesses. You try to weaken them and you hit their vulnerable areas. What are Fano's strengths and weaknesses as well? I think, based on my coverage, Fano's biggest strength is their intelligence network. All their activities are based on this intelligence network. They receive advanced information about the movement of Ethiopian military, about movement of Prosperity Party members, about meetings being held in the region. So that is why they attack these places, venues, people, convoys, etc. Because they receive intelligence from the ground. Obviously, they don't have any equipment to monitor the movement of ENDF. Basically, they're relying on human sources. So first point I think is that the military will have to counter Fano's effective intelligence network. How can military counter this intelligence network system of Fano groups? There could be two ways. Either military will have to dismantle Fano's intelligence networks, or military will have to build their own effective intelligence networks. Dismantling of Fano's intelligence networks could be a little difficult and dangerous, because civilians obviously are part of this intelligence network, and if military starts large-scale action on civilians, it could lead to increase in support of Fano fighters. So other option for military is it should establish its own effective intelligence network, relying on human sources. And military has other assets to deploy in the collection of intelligence. First point for me is that military will have to establish, it will have to create very effective intelligence networks in the Amhara region. Secondly, viewers, second point is the religion. Orthodox Church has immense clout in the Amhara region. And imagine that Orthodox Church starts condemning Fano groups. Orthodox Church fathers, they tell people that people should not join Fano. It would be a huge blow to Fano groups, because they won't be able to get public support, and secondly, they won't be able to attack church too. If Fano fighters start attacking churches, obviously they will lose public support. But church is generally seen, lower level church officials generally seen as supportive of Fano groups. That is why maybe in Debre Ilyas, Skandar Naga's APF was based at a monastery. Some say monasteries are being used by Fano groups. So will church stand on the side of the government? Can somehow Ethiopian government convince the Orthodox Church to support the operation against Fano. We just heard from Abuna Irmias once, and he condemned the groups, armed groups in the Amhara. Otherwise, church is largely silent. Church is only calling for talks, negotiations. But if somehow Ethiopian government gets support from the church, asking church to tell the people that people should not join Fano, it would be, I think, a huge blow to Fano groups. Secondly, public support. One of the main strengths of Fano groups is public support. No one can deny that Fano fighters enjoy immense public support. This support is in different forms. It could be financial support. It could be support in the form of provision of logistics, donations from abroad. I'm talking about diaspora too, talking about the people of Amhara region too. How can the government reduce this support? How can government cut off the link between Fano and the people of the Amhara region and diaspora? It's a challenge, but government will have to find ways. The government will have to create its own groups, its own leaders who can work on behalf of the government. This link between Fano and people, Fano and diaspora will have to be cut off. Government can adopt different ways. Government is trying some methods. I think it is bribing people. It is offering rewards for giving information to the government about Fano groups, etc. It is portraying Fano as a destroying force. It is telling the people that whatever is happening in Amhara region in terms of destruction, it is being caused by Fano groups. The government can launch different narratives to cut off the link between Fano and people, to put an end to the public support which Fano fighters get. I won't go into details how can government cut off this link, but government will have to work on that, and I think government is working on that. What is government working on? I'll speak on that at the end of this video. Fourthly, weapons and siege. Though Fano fighters will rely on small weapons, they don't need tanks, artillery pieces, drones, etc. But flow of weapons to Fano from neighboring countries will have to be stopped. For that, ENDF will have to man the entire Amhara-Sudan border. In Sudan, several arms traffickers are operating, which smuggle weapons into Ethiopia. It's not very difficult to buy weapons from Sudan for Ethiopian groups. Tigray was put under complete siege in the 2-year-long war. Amhara is not under siege. A military trying to lay siege to Amhara. It's not possible, though. I won't say possible, but I think it's difficult. But to ensure that Fano fighters don't receive weapons from neighboring countries, I think military will have to man Amhara-Sudan border. And after that, we can say that military is in a position to stop flow of arms to Fano fighters. Then we can talk about the narrative. The narrative built by Fano groups about this conflict is that PMRB's government is government of Oromos, that Oromo elites are destroying Amharas, that Amharas are being massacred in Welaga, in other parts of Ethiopia, that Banjula's army is an Oromo army. How to dispel this impression? How to tell the people that government is not Oromo-dominated government. Army is not Oromo-dominated army. This impression will have to be dispelled. By the way, military and government try to appoint Amhara officers, Amhara figures to lead the military operation in the Amhara region. Maskan Terone, Ethiopian intelligence agency chief, is head of this entire operation. He's Amhara, I think. Abebe, the general, he's also Amhara, and some others too. So government is trying to create this impression that this operation is being led by Amhara politicians, Amhara journals, but still Fano has managed to sell the narrative that government is an Oromo-dominated government and this government is anti-Amhara. Can this impression be removed by government? That remains to be seen. Then use of tactics, military tactics. I think guerrilla groups can only be countered through guerrilla war. Military will have to fight like a guerrilla army. It cannot afford to start to continue large scale operations. I think military has learned in the past few months that it will have to go for unconventional methods to counter Fano. Conventional methods of using heavy weapons and launching large scale offensives are not going to work. And that is why I think Muhammad Tasima said when he was addressing his subordinates in uh, the Amhara region a few days ago, he asked his followers to, ask his subordinates to adopt novel tactics and that they should learn from anti-insurgency, counter-insurgency operation. They should not engage foreign fighters directly. And lastly, drones. Use of drones is perhaps one of the key weapons which the government has. How to use these drones effectively? Fano groups are operating separately, independently, but they're being led by top men. I think military will have to target top men in Fano. No top men, no top commander in Fano has been killed, captured, or wounded so far. Mere, Vudajo, Safar, Malase, Massafin, Skandar Naga, all are alive, safe, leading their groups. Though killing of one Fano commander won't be a big blow, but if several top Fano commanders are somehow targeted, it would be a blow to Fano fighters. And for that, you need very effective and precise intelligence from the ground. I said that Fano's intelligence network is stronger than that of military. So military will have to construct its own intelligence network to get accurate information about the movement of Fano commanders. That is how they can target Fano commanders. Now, just a few words about the tactics adopted by military so far. Military tried to portray Fano as anti-Muslim, that it is uh, against Muslims. And Fano then launched Muslim commanders. Colonel Fantahun spoke, some female Fano commanders spoke, they said they are Muslim, they're part of this resistance movement. Then military tried to portray Fano as anti-Ago military, but now Ago zone is destabilized. There was no fighting in Ago zone 3 months ago, but now near Injibara, near Tilili, we have seen fighting. So this ethnic card is not playing. And government has failed to portray Fano as anti-Orthodox. Rather, Fano fighters received support from Orthodox Christians to some extent, we can say. So military will have to adapt to the reality on the ground. It cannot blindly continue large-scale military offensives in Amhara region, which are definitely expensive too in terms of mobilization of resources. Military will have to be creative. It will have to have specific targets, and it can. I wouldn't say military can eradicate Fano groups in a few days or weeks or months. It's a long, protracted resistance movement which we're seeing in the Amhara region. But through adopting novel, creative methods, military can strike blows to Fano groups. Let's see what happens in coming days in the Amhara region. Thank you for watching.